Good afternoon to you. Today, the Federal Executive Council approved the 2022 revised energy policy for our dear nation. Energy is so important, both for our own domestic use, in our homes, in our own offices, for industrial production, in our industries, manufacturing, for agriculture, both the production and also processing. The energy policy of Nigeria has looked at the various energy resources available to our nation. We have abundance of energy resources. We have fossil fuels, crude oil, natural gas, coal. We have all this in huge quantities, commercial quantities. We also have renewable energy, solar energy, wind energy, hydropower, geothermal energy. All these come under renewable energy, and also biomass. Nigeria is so blessed, and what we want to do is to make sure that we have a mix that will bring in all the various energy resources that Nigeria has for the benefit of our nation. We have to plan our economy around the energy resources available to Nigeria. And in terms of electricity supply, because electricity has flexibility and there is ease in transmission and distribution, is of critical importance to any nation. And we know that in terms of energy supply, we have had a lot of deficit. But we also believe that by effectively utilizing our energy resources, we'll be in a position to improve on energy supply in our country. Thank you so much.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, Honorable Minister. I presented 3 memos today, as rightly said by the Minister of Information. The first memo was a variation of subsisting contract. The contract is the Katampe to National Stadium 132 direct circuit line, which is 90% completion. The contractor approached us because of some delays on the project to seek for this variation, which all necessary due process were followed before approaching the FEC, and the amount is 201,949,811 naira. The initial contract amount, which was awarded by FEC since 2010, was having 2 components. The offshore is 8.2 million euro, then the onshore is 522.7 million naira. So the offshore remained the same. The offshore is now increased. The onshore is now increased to 724.6 million naira. The second, and the contractor is Messias Enago Nigeria Limited. The second approval that was given by FEC is the design, manufacture, and supply of 260 MVA 132/33 kV power transformers at the cost of also two cost components. The offshore is $1,294,447. Then the onshore is $16,485,000 naira, and it's awarded to Messias Skylight Engineering Services Limited. The third approval is a contract to also design, manufacture, and construction and installation of 260-kilometer transmission line from Birnin Kebbi through Zuru to Yauri in Kebbi State at the cost of also two components, offshore and the onshore. The offshore is $25.8 million and the onshore is 10.2 billion naira. And the contractor is Dextron Nigeria Limited. Thank you very much.
I believe I will be compelled to brief you on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Mines and Steel Development, who presented two memoranda. The first was a memorandum seeking Council's approval for the award of contract for the engagement of transaction advisors for the consultancy services for the concession of Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited, Ajaokuta, and also the National Iron Ore Mining Complex in Itakpe, in favor of Messrs. CPCS Consortium in the sum of 853,266,644 naira 46 kobo, inclusive of a 7.5% VAT. I'm sure we're all familiar with the story or the history of the Ajaokuta Steel Complex. The contract was awarded in 1979 to a Russian company called TPE. By the end of 1983, the contract had reached a very advanced stage. Regrettably, since then, it's been suffering. And by 1994, TPE demobilized from site. And in 1996, the contract was determined. Subsequently, various administrations have tried to revive the complex, the Ajaokuta's sea complex, without much success. However, you will recall that Mr. President was on a state visit to Russia between the 22nd and 24th of October 2019 in Sochi, and here it was resolved that the Ajaokuta steel complex, which is a massive, in which already the federal government has made massive investment, must be resuscitated. Regrettably, COVID-19 has slowed down the effort of the Ministry of Mines and Sea Development to bring this to fruition. However, today, the Council has approved the award of contract, not just for the Ajaokuta steel complex, but also for the iron ore in Itakpe. We believe that with this development, would have made significant steps in bringing back to life both the Ajaokuta steel complex and the iron ore company in Itakpe, and fast forward the industrial revolution of Nigeria. Because when these two complexes, two plants, when they begin to function, then not only are we going to save a lot of money in terms of foreign exchange, but you're going to see a lot of industrial development and also technology transfer. The other memo which the Minister of Mines and Sea Development presented is actually a memo seeking approval for scale of fees for mining engineering and geoscience consultancy services. The purpose of the memo was to seek council approval for the scale of fees chargeable and payable for mining engineering and geosciences consultancy services to ensure standardization in line with international best practices. You recall that the Council of Nigerian Mining, Engineering, and Geosciences was established by Decree number 40 of 1990 before it became an Act of Parliament. And the scale of fees being recommended is in respect of experts in solid minerals, water resources, mining, metallurgical processing, oil and gas industry, and the private sector inputs were received from the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency and other allied groups. The most important thing to note about this particular memo, which was approved today, was that it sets a benchmark for professionals and experts in the field of consultative advisory or research services, or those that will be engage in pre-design services, or those that would handle design services, those who would do general mining services, and those who would be involved in geological services. Because this scale of fees is important to ensure that both the consultants and the employers get fair services. It was approved, and the details of the scale of fees is available and will be made public, because it covers a very wide range of services, ranging from mining to water to petroleum to geosciences. Thank you very much. Yes, please. I don't think this memo has any bearing at all to do with Russia or the war between Russia or Ukraine. This is a memo in which Council has approved that consultants be engaged to concession out the Ajaokuta steel complex and the Itakpe iron ore. I don't think the war between Russia and Ukraine has anything to do with this.
No role for the Russians to play in the resuscitation?
No, to the best of my knowledge, I went through this memo, and I think the consultants are all Nigerian companies. Yes, please.
Thank you, Gloria. What hope for power improvement? If I can sum up your question. Yes, there is hope. And there is hope if you look at the various interventions going in to the power sector. As you all know, you mentioned about generation, which we have talked about several times. 13,000 online, then on the grid, then off-grid, which we have mentioned here. If you add sum them up, we have more than 13,000 installed capacity in the country. We have also talked about how the transmission line is not at the level to evacuate that generation. And we have also talked about distribution companies that are not doing what is expected to also evacuate the much the transmission can take. So the weakest link, as we all know, we have said it in several meetings, we have never hidden anything, is the transmission and the distribution, which we are working so hard to raise the capacity of their operation through various projects. Like today, we have new contract for expansion of line and spare parts, transformers. So these are measures being taken by government to strengthen the operational capacity of the transmission grid. But we used to experience challenges along the way. Recently, we had 3 system collapse, which we were able to come out of it. We are not yet up to the level that the collapse made us, which was, we were almost around 5,000 at the transmission but the collapse drew us back, which we all had a session and discussed about those collapses, and they were due to sabotage. As you know, sabotage on oil pipelines, sabotage on our transmission line. The most recent one, which some people brought down our 330 tower around Akwa Ibom, which we have all shown to the world, and we have given the contractor to work on. I believe very soon, in a few days' time, that line will be connected. And that cuts off the Calabar plant, which is having over 400 megawatts. So these are setbacks that we encounter along the way. But we keep on pushing on, and we will keep on to push on. So transmission contract takes a lot of time because almost 70% of the components are offshore. That's why you see, even in the contract, you see offshore components and the onshore component and the offshore. So before you manufacture, bring in, takes a lot of time, 2 years or more in some cases. We have also have some problem, which we have spoken about here, issues of right-of-way to pass with the transmission line. You cannot force the communities to pass. You have to get it easy with them, even with compensation, which we usually have. We'll go and do the enumerations, come back. By the time you take the money, you will find out that they have built new structures along the way. You will have to, again, do second measurement. You come back. So it takes time to pull that one down before you pass with your lines. And you must expand through taking a high voltage line, 330, further into places before you radiate with 132. Otherwise, the grid will not be strong. So this is what we have been doing in spite of all these challenges. And, but we are going to be there, inshallah.
I find it difficult to find correlation between sabotage, that level of sabotage that you mentioned, and hope. Because if you mention these two, they are parallel.
Let me speak to that. You say you can't find a link between sabotage and the hope. I have given you the hope with the various interventions going on. We are strengthening the grid. Suddenly, you have a sabotage. Somebody pulling down a component, and one component can send signal to the whole grid, as it just did last few days. One tower of 330, because the grid is linked all over the nation. One tower send that signal and collapses the grid. So there is hope on one side, and we are dealing with challenges. So this is how you relate them. Oil pipelines, the gas that takes, the pipeline that takes gas to the generators. And as you know, 80% of our generation comes from fossil fuel. The gas are connected through pipeline to power the generators. Once somebody breaks that, how can you generate? So this is the link between what we are doing and the sabotage. Regarding Siemens, which you also asked, and is it doctor? Pardon? He also asks about Siemens. Yes, The Siemens intervention is coming in 3 phases. As you rightly mentioned, phase 1, which we are in it, aim to take the operational capacity to 7,000 megawatts within the shortest possible time on the transmission and the distribution. So, you know, each project that you start, you have to start with preliminaries, measurement, soil tests, and things like that, which we have done that. We are now procuring the EPC. But before even this stage, we have quickly ordered some equipment, 10 mobile substations and 10 Mobitra transformers. The Mobitra transformers are having a very high capacity, which will be deployed across the country on previously identified locations, load centers, which as soon as they arrive, we'll deploy them to this, and they will give us the initial boost. Then the mobile substations are meant to substitute connectivity when the EPC construction starts on over numerous stations. So we have entered into contract on that part, and we have made early order, which we made over 3 months ago. So I just returned from Germany recently to go and discuss the delivery of these items, to negotiate. When are they coming to bring those things? Which I met the German, the Siemens CEO, and many of them, we had tour and saw how they were doing the manufacturing of these equipments, and we try to get the timeline for delivery, which they promised us 2 weeks they will get back to us, and which they did. They have given us a timetable for delivery. So that means our meeting with them was successful. We are going to start getting the, by the timeline they sent to us in September, we'll start getting the components. Though they express challenges that they're also encountering due to the war in Europe, and it has stopped most of their supply lines for materials and things like that, which we reason with them. But in spite of that, they have agreed to start the delivery in September, which they have sent their commitment to us after we returned from Germany last 2 weeks. So in September, they will deliver some. November, they will deliver. September, October, November, up to December, which the early order will be delivered. As soon as these orders arrive, we'll deploy them immediately, and we'll show you, we'll invite you to see them, and we'll deploy them to the locations that we have already determined. So this is what we're doing. Now, the EPC, you know, the collaboration with the Siemens is end-to-end. They do everything to repair our grid. And so the EPC are to be nominated by them, which they have done, and we're evaluating them now. We have finished the evaluation. We are doing the procurement for the EPC, which will be finished very soon. So this is what is going on the Siemens. So it's very active. It's not that it's dormant. So.
Lead time delivery on the 2,000 megawatts they expect on the grid. When do we see that? Because that's the concern of Nigerians. When do we see that equipment coming? Do you have that time on it?
What's the question?
Lead time delivery of power. We expect 2,000 megawatts to be added to the grid, like the Minister of Finance said. When do we see power added to the grid?
the Honorable Minister very well. Siemens is not about power generation. Siemens is about improving our capacity in the area of transmission and distribution. So when he said that the first phase of Siemens intervention is to increase our transmission
Capacity.
capacity to 7,000 megawatts. Pardon? No.
Let me address that.
Okay.
Let me address that. As you are all aware, 5,000 is the level that we have been. Okay? Sometimes the transmission grid will be able to carry up to 7,000, but it cannot be evacuated by the distribution. Now, the 2,000 is needing some equipment to be deployed here and there to be able to quickly stabilize the transmission and the distribution to be able to take up to that 7,000 instead of the 5,000 that we have been hovering, is to strengthen the grid and the distribution to be able to take the complete 7,000. This is the first phase that we are aiming at. That was why she was talking about 2,000. You get what I mean? Is that clear? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.